After being cut off from our family reunions for 10 years, they finally showed up at my new house. As soon as they walked in, their faces turned pale. What I said next, my carefully planned revenge, left them speechless. But the real twist came when I revealed a secret that shattered their image of me and everything they thought they knew about our past. Hey, Reddit. This is a story about betrayal, the strength to rise alone, and the moment everything came full circle. 10 years ago, I sat on the porch of my childhood home, watching my parents and siblings laugh inside while I wasn't even invited to the reunion dinner. I hadn't done anything wrong. No crime, no betrayal, no drama. I just didn't fit their version of success. While my older brother, Darren, graduated with a law degree and my younger sister, Naomi, was the golden child pursuing medicine, I chose something different. I became a carpenter. I loved the craft, the smell of sawdust, and the satisfaction of building something with my hands. But to them, I was the embarrassment they avoided mentioning at family gatherings. It started small, late invitations, forgotten birthdays, subtle jabs about my potential. Then one year, they held the annual family reunion without even telling me. I only found out through a Facebook photo my cousin accidentally tagged me in. When I called my mother to ask, she sighed and said, "We figured you'd be too busy or uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. I was their son, their brother, and suddenly, I didn't belong. I tried to brush it off. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was the odd one out. But it kept happening. Year after year, photos posted online, group chats I was removed from, weddings I wasn't invited to. I stopped calling. They didn't notice. I moved 2 hours away to a small town where nobody knew me as the black sheep. I poured my soul into my carpentry business, and little by little, things started to shift. It wasn't overnight. I spent years living modestly, doing custom furniture and repair work. Then one day, a local hotel owner commissioned me to design and build themed luxury interiors. My work caught attention, magazines, social media, even a small TV spot. Within 3 years, I wasn't just stable. I was thriving. I bought a plot of land and built my dream home from the ground up. Every beam, every panel, every inch was mine. Crafted by my own hands. I never spoke a word to my family during those years, not out of hatred, just preservation. But I saw the looks. They started liking my business posts, leaving vague comments like "proud of you," as if that could patch up a decade of exclusion. I didn't respond. Then, 2 months before Christmas, my brother Darren messaged me out of the blue. "Hey. Mom was wondering if you could host this year's family reunion. Your house looks amazing." I stared at the screen in disbelief. After 10 years of silence, after they cut me off like a diseased limb, they wanted to use my home as their reunion backdrop. No apology. No acknowledgement of the past. Just a casual request like nothing had ever happened. I didn't reply. Instead, I planned something better. On Christmas Eve, just after sunset, I lit up the massive handcrafted tree in my living room, baked the cinnamon rolls my grandmother used to make, and set the table with pristine cutlery. I invited one person, my late grandfather's best friend, Mr. Hampton. He was the only one who treated me like family when no one else did. We sat, ate, and shared stories from decades past. It was quiet, but peaceful. Then a knock. I opened the door to see my entire family, my parents, Darren, Naomi, their spouses, even my cousins, standing there with forced smiles and a store-bought pie. Naomi was the first to speak. "Wow, your house is incredible," Darren whistled. "Didn't think the wood business was that good," my mother looked around, eyes darting from the handcrafted columns to the polished oak floors. "You've done well for yourself, dear. Really, we were thinking maybe we could all spend the evening here together. Like old times." I didn't flinch. There were no old times for me. Remember? I was never invited. My father cleared his throat. "Let's not dwell on the past. Tonight's about family." I stepped aside, letting them glimpse the warmth of the living room, the cozy fire, the laughter between me and Mr. Hampton echoing from inside. Then I said it, quietly but clearly, "You're not staying." My mother blinked. "What? You cut me off for a decade." "Not a call. Not a visit. You turned your backs when I needed you most. Now you see what I've built, and suddenly I'm useful again. No. Tonight isn't for people who show up when it's convenient. It's for people who never left. Their faces went pale. Darren tried to speak, but no words came out. Naomi looked away, clearly uncomfortable. My father just nodded stiffly, almost in shame. I continued, you didn't lose me because of my career. You lost me because you made me feel like I was never enough. And now, you're too late. I shut the door, not with anger, but peace. Inside, Mr. Hampton raised his glass. To chosen family. I smiled and raised mine. To building something that lasts. The silence after I shut the door wasn't the kind that haunts you. It was the kind that frees you. For the first time in years, I felt like I had finally said everything that had been buried inside me. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I simply held up a mirror and let them see what they had chosen to ignore. But they didn't take it well. The next morning, my phone blew up. Missed calls, texts, even emails. My mother left a voicemail, her voice trembling, caught somewhere between anger and guilt. I don't know what you think you're doing, but this isn't how family works. You don't slam the door on your blood. I didn't respond. Then came the guilt campaign. Naomi texted me a long paragraph about how family makes mistakes and cutting people off is just as cruel as being excluded. Darren followed it up with a classic deflection. You always took things too personally. That's why we didn't include you. It was easier that way. Easier for them. They weren't trying to reconnect. They were trying to rewrite history without ever taking responsibility. What they really wanted wasn't me. It was the image. The success they could now attach themselves to. The handcrafted home. The local fame. Their black sheep had turned golden, and now they wanted to act like they believed in me all along. But I wasn't playing along. The real fallout started when Naomi posted a vague status on social media. When family turns their back on you after you try to make amends, the pain is unreal. Cue the sympathetic comments from friends who had no idea what actually happened. I ignored it until my aunt, who had always been in the background during these 10 years, messaged me directly. I know this must be difficult. I saw what Naomi posted and I'm not going to assume anything. But for what it's worth, you were right to say what you said. That message hit me harder than I expected. For a moment, I questioned everything. Had I gone too far? Had I become the person I resented? But then I remembered the countless birthdays spent alone. The messages left unread. The years I watched the family pretend I didn't exist. I wasn't bitter. I was just done carrying weight that wasn't mine. Instead of getting dragged back into their drama, I focused on the life I had built. My business was booming more than ever. I was booked months in advance, and local media outlets started calling me for interviews. Not because I was flashy, but because my work spoke for itself. I even started mentoring young people in the town who had been told they weren't good enough for college or the corporate world. I saw pieces of myself in them. Quiet. Overlooked. Determined. That became my new family. Not the one I was born into, but the one I chose. Meanwhile, the family I left behind continued spiraling. Naomi posted another passive-aggressive update about entitled siblings. Darren sent me a long email trying to paint himself as the mediator who always tried to include me, and my mother eventually resorted to sending a Christmas card with a handwritten note. Come home when you're ready to be part of the family again. But I was home. I had built it with my own hands. The biggest shift came one evening when I got a knock on my door, not from them, but from someone I hadn't seen in over 15 years, my cousin Rachel. She looked older, tired, but sincere. She didn't come with an apology rehearsed. She came with truth. I was there, you know, she said softly. All those years, I saw what they did to you, and I stayed quiet. I shouldn't have. We sat for hours. She told me about how uncomfortable it made her when they erased me from conversations. How she tried to speak up once and was told to let it go. It's his choice to isolate himself. She had believed it. Until she didn't. I just want you to know, she said, you weren't imagining it. You were wrong. And I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you. That moment didn't heal everything, but it mattered. It proved that I wasn't alone. That even in silence, someone had seen the truth. In the months that followed, I kept growing. Personally, professionally, emotionally, I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. I was simply living life on my own terms. But then came the twist I didn't see coming. One evening in early spring, I got a letter in the mail, formal, stamped, legal. I opened it and felt my stomach drop. My father had passed away. It wasn't sudden. He'd been ill for some time, though no one had bothered to tell me. The letter wasn't from my family. It was from his attorney. My name was on it because he had left me something. Not money, not land, a journal. Inside was my father's handwriting, stiff, faded, but unmistakably his. And what I found in those pages changed everything I thought I knew about our relationship and planted the seed for the final chapter of this story. I held the journal in my hands for nearly an hour before opening it. It was weathered, bound in leather, and marked by time. My father's name was scrawled across the inside cover, and beneath it, a single date, October 2008, the year everything began falling apart. As I flipped through the pages, it became clear, this wasn't just a diary. It was a confession. Page after page, he chronicled the cracks in our family. He wrote about the pressure to maintain an image, the successful family, the accomplished children, the illusion of unity. He admitted that when I chose carpentry over college, he panicked, not out of hatred, but fear. I didn't know how to defend you, one entry read. I thought if I ignored it, pushed you aside, you'd come back around. I was wrong. Every time I excluded you, I broke something in myself too. There was pain in his words. Regret, but also cowardice. He had chosen silence over love, image over integrity, and he'd taken that guilt to the grave. But the final entry hit the hardest. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. And I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But I left this for you because you deserve to be heard. You deserve better. And you deserve to decide what happens next. That sentence echoed in my mind for days. I didn't go to the funeral. Naomi made sure to post glamorous black and white photos of it on social media, crying in designer sunglasses, Darren standing at the podium with a solemn face. It was performance art, and I wanted no part of it. But I did make a decision. A week later, I had a letter delivered, handwritten, and sealed to my mother's house. In it, I enclosed one copy of my father's final journal entry. No commentary. No insults. Just the truth he had hidden for years. And beneath it, one sentence of my own. You erased me for 10 years. Let this remind you I was never gone. You just weren't looking hard enough. That should have been the end. But life rarely gives clean exits. 2 months later, Naomi showed up at my workshop. No warning. No call. Just walked in like she hadn't blocked me for a decade. I read it, she said quietly. I looked up from the chair I was finishing. So, I didn't know he felt that way. I set the tool down and stood up. Did it change how you feel? She hesitated, and that silence was louder than anything else. I didn't come here for forgiveness, she added. I came here because I think he wanted us to stop pretending, and I don't want it anymore. You have every right to hate me. But I'm not here to rewrite anything. I just want to tell the truth. And she did. She told me about the jealousy, the way I seemed free when they felt caged by expectations, how my absence made them feel guilty so they masked it with dismissal. How success turned me into a threat instead of a brother. She admitted it all. And for the first time, it felt real. I didn't hug her. I didn't break down. I just listened. And when she finished, I simply said, I appreciate the honesty, but it doesn't erase the past. It just means we can stop lying about it. She nodded. That's enough for me. We didn't become close after that, but we did become honest. And that was more than I ever expected. As for Darren, he never reached out again. Not even after learning about the journal. He stayed quiet, as he always had, letting the silence protect his pride. I didn't chase closure from him. Some people only understand loss when they've got nothing left to cling to. I'd already moved on, but the real final note came on the next Christmas. This time my house was full, not with my blood family, but with those who had become my real circle, Mr. Hampton, my cousin Rachel, the young apprentices I mentored, and neighbors who had become like family. We laughed, we ate, we shared stories. And in a quiet moment, I stood by the fire and looked at the room I built with my own hands. I didn't need to say it out loud, but I thought it all the same. I wasn't the black sheep. I was just the first to walk away from the herd. And in doing so, I found something better than acceptance. I found peace. In the end, I didn't need their acceptance, their apology, or their approval. I built my own life, surrounded by people who saw me for who I really was. And when the time came, I didn't need to shout. I simply showed them what they chose to throw away. That was my revenge, and it was enough. If this story moved you, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful true life stories like this. Until next time, stay strong, stay true.